Hello everybody from Celtic Radio. We are continuing with our book, Message from a Teen in the Spirit World, The Big Journey. But before we start, I just want to tell you more about Celtic Radio. Even in South Africa, we've got Celtic Radio on our phones. If you can go to the app, and there is so many wonderful pre-recorded books and things that you can go and listen to. Just there's Sex and Destiny and all this, and you can pick and you can listen to this. And they've got a podcast as well that they recently share Happy Life on Kodak Radio. And if you go to the podcast, you can just listen to the book from Francisco Joanna Angelis, Happy Life. So, and then you can just listen to it. So I don't think we have any excuse not to get our minds and our hearts in a uplifting manner or to educate ourselves. So thanks to Kodak Radio, I think that nourish our souls, as everybody says. Let's continue with our book. This book is about Carlos, and he's a 14-year-old boy, and he disconnected early in his life. This was the message that was told by the spirit Neio Lucio. And then he enrolled in some courses in the spiritual world to readjust his mental field and all that. But he had a desire to send a letter to his brother that was still incarnated. So the next one is Impressions of My Last Day on Earth. So we're going first read it and then we can talk about it a bit. Dear Lucio, I'm writing you this letter to let you know that I didn't really die. I never believed it would be possible to send you news after I left my body behind back there on Earth. I remember how we sometimes used to observe the funeral processions for children and adults from the big window in our room, when in silence we watched the sad hearse go by, decorated with flowers and carrying someone who would never come back. Do you remember when Osorio, our classmate, died? You have never forgotten the heartbreaking scene. His mother, Donna Margarida, led us in tears to view his body. Once playful and kind, Osorio was now mute and cold. He looked like he was sleeping, unmoving under a pile of roses and memories. When I heard that he would never come back, my heart raced and I went pale. Old Thomas, the doorman who worked at the school, was watching the scene. He understood what was happening and whisked me away. I didn't eat at all that day and spent the night scared stiff. I bothered my dad with all sorts of questions about death, and he gave me goosebumps with his answers. He finally saw how upset I was and advised me to avoid the subject. A lot of time went by, but the experience kept a place in my heart. Perhaps that is why I was so impatient and troubled during the time of my sickness. And to be honest with you, I was really afraid when I realized it was all about to end, because I had always heard that death of the body is the end of everything. Now, however, I can tell you that it's not true at all. Do you remember my last day at home? Mum was crying so much. Dad was really concerned and was pacing back and forth in the room next to ours. Our good friend, Dr. Martino, held my hand, and you were sitting in Grandma's easy chair looking at me anxiously and sadly. I wanted to speak but couldn't. I was tired but didn't know why. I couldn't get my breath, as if I was a fish out of water. I made an effort to say something to put Mum at ease, at least, but there was an enormous weight pressing down on my throat and mouth. I then fixed my eyes on you and cried a lot because I was afraid of becoming mute and cold like Osorio, leaving never to return again. I couldn't move my lips, but in my mind, sorry, let me just get another one. I prayed the prayer that Mum had taught me. I remembered God and waiting for sleep with unspeakable anguish. I wanted to sleep a lot, but my fear of sleeping and not waking up was so great that if I could have, I would have screamed really loudly with all the strength left in my lungs, pleading with Dr. Martino not to let me die. When I read this first time, it was very sad. The experience of a little child that was about to die, and his experience in life where he saw a classmate that died, and the whole process of the funeral and all that. The thing is, if you listen to what he was saying, he said he thought that death was the end of the body, of existence, actually. That is the first thing. We should always try to talk to children about death. Not even for ourselves, because we know that for our grown-ups, we work especially with spiritists, we work with discarnates and spirits and that. But the thing is that we should really try in a child way, and this is what I love about this book, is to explain to them what death is. And it's an easy way. I mean, if you look at death in animals, we all have animals, and we have, birds that die. And I think that is the start for, especially when they are very young, not to expose themselves constantly, but to, when things like that happen, because everybody, even a small insect as well, there is a prayer to be done, because everything has a type of soul. And if this is what we try to explain to my granddaughter as well, is to pray for everything, even a small animal or a bird or whatever. And because we in South Africa are we've got a lot of animals around us, wild birds and animals and all that. So we not used to death, but we are in contact with especially animal death constantly. But to have the respect for all animals and to teach them to what death is in that small and simple way, and that life continues at the end. What a nice thing was what my granddaughter told me. We had a kitten that died of an illness, and she dreamed that she was with Jesus, and she saw this kitten with Jesus, and she said she was very happy and to see him because he's happy and wow. So to encourage them to see that everything is a continuation, and that our soul and our body are two different things. That is the first point I wanted to talk about. Then Carlos says again, he says, he didn't think it was possible to send a letter to his brother. And this is where it's wonderful, because a lot of people believe that they don't believe in spirit like us do. So they don't see that, and this is how wonderful it is to know that we as spiritists have the opportunity to witness and to listen to other spirits' experiences, which can help us in this life as well. And then he talks about this experience that he had with his with this death of a friend that he had, which is very sad at the end. And then he talks about his death. And the thing is, because he didn't know about death, and that's the point, is that is why it's so important to talk to children about death, because we don't know when and how long they will be here. I don't know, I've watched Chiku's mothers. It's a most amazing video about Chiku Xavier that did this mediumship about for the mothers who lost their children at a very young age. And it was so beautiful to see the comfort that he brought to each and every one of those mothers. I would really recommend to watch that movie as well. And it's a good explanation as well for especially younger deaths. But the thing is that we still should educate our children about death. It is very important to me. It's very important. Not just about life and why we are here and the tasks that we supposed to do in this life, but especially to prepare them whenever we don't know when they can disconnect. So we don't know what is in their life's plan. And then he talks about coming back to Carlos. He talks about his this friend that died, and how scared he was when he was dying. And it was very sad to read that he was in such an anguished state of mind, because I don't think his parents or anyone around him actually knows about death and all that. So it was never explained to him exactly how it worked. But what is beautiful is that he was so, he really wanted to send this letter to his brother to explain the process of his death, and then also that life continues. And this is what is so wonderful. And this is out of the mouth of a 14-year-old boy that was 14. And he said, yeah, and this is beautiful. And this is always, we should teach our children to pray constantly, which says, so. Thank you so much, friend, and Felicia. I pray the prayer that Mum had taught me. And that is important. Our children should always, not our children, we as well, should never forget to be in constant prayer. This morning, I just want to make sure the timing from US and South Africa. The thing is yes, I agree, Saul. Where he remembered, and that is the thing, is when he that is the thing that we should actually teach our children, is to be in constant prayer, because that is what helps them. I mean, we know a lot about especially the book that Sunshine is doing, that about heaven and hell, that tells us about all these cases about disconnect spirits and prayer. They all say that we should pray, and we should pray for them, and that prayer helps us, especially during the discarnations stage that everyone goes. So, and that is a beautiful thing. I totally agree. The thing is that yes, Felicia, it's very important. Yeah, it is very important, because we should think about death. I don't want to say constantly, but to know that we are here to not only prepare ourselves to die or to go back, to disconnect, but to help each other as well, and to know what to expect. Because if we educate ourselves about all this, and we are in the process of, we can educate ourselves as spiritists, we are very actually can be very grateful that we have all these things that we can learn to help us when to if we disconnect, we know what to expect. And not only that, we are here to know how to live as well. To when we disconnect, that this is what we know what we're going to do. So, and the thing is that he said, I want you to sleep a lot, and that's the thing. Okay, and he said he was afraid of death. But the point is that I agree with you, Saul, that he said, I prayed the prayer of my mother, and that helped. And I'm anxious about this. I can't wait to just continue with this book. It's actually a beautiful book for children. So, and it's very important. So when we talk to each other, and especially in small things, if there's an animal, there's whatever, that is an opportunity to educate our children for death, for discarnation. To know that we are spirits, and this is just a body that we are in for this incarnation. So it is important to help them in some way to understand the process of the spiritual world, and also the natural world, the incarnate world. So it's very important to, in subtle ways, help them to do that and to understand this. And of course, even if animals die, then we should help them to pray for them and know that they're okay, and for Jesus to accept their soul back. And even if there are news of people dying, to help them to understand that we should pray for that soul in the process of going back to the spiritual world. So if we are the example, and we live this example of in the Spirit's teachings and all this, and we are constantly busy with this, talking about spiritism and all the teachings, then our children will be more educated as well, because it starts with us in the beginning. It starts with us. So I can't wait to continue next week. It's a beautiful. Thank you for everybody. Gabriel as well. Thank you so much. See each other next week, and then we will go on with the next chapter, that is Aunt, and I hope I say their name correctly. It's Uni. So thank you so much. May everyone have a wonderful day, and it's night here in South Africa. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.